We call it people technology.
Everything to play for in match number 51 of the Indian Premier League. Mumbai Indians and the Rajasthan Royals are all set to kick off in just under half an hour at Sharjah. Points table will tell you how important this game is for both teams. You lose this, you're effectively out of it. There are still scenarios in which multiple teams can end up on 12 points, but with that net run rate that the Knight Riders have, if you want to make that fourth and only available playoff spot, you got to win both your games. So Rajasthan and Mumbai, currently in sixth and seventh, are about to commence match 51. This is Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Time. On Carlos Brathwaite joins us one last time in the IPL 2021, and well, let's adjust the height to reflect the real height. Come on, yeah, that's better because Gautam
It's
Gambhir
normally the
stands
other way
tall.
around.
Yeah. Gautam Gambhir stands tall on Indian cricket in the IPL, but in front of Carlos Brathwaite, we all have to sort of look up. But Gautam, good evening and
True.
welcome. Good to have you for the business end of the
Pleasure's all
tournament and
mine. It's
big
always
game
great
today.
fun.
Gautam. Yeah, always
And
big game today, isn't it? I'm not quite sure which team goes into this game with the form or the momentum. Can you call a favorite between Mumbai and Rajasthan, Gautam?
no, I can't. I
Yeah.
can't, to be honest, because if I only look at the paper, then I feel Mumbai, but Mumbai
Hmm.
has not looked anywhere near what they look on the paper. They've been very
Yeah.
timid throughout the tournament, which was a surprise for me because when you've got people like Rohit Sharma, Quinton de Kock, and Hardik Pandya, Pollard, Surya Kumar Yadav, Ishan Kishan, and the way they've batted throughout the tournament, it's not that they've played all the games at Sharjah. They played most of the games on some very good wickets as well. Despite of that, they've looked absolutely out of form as a batting unit. So probably this is the time, and if it's not today, then probably it's all over for them.
Yeah, I mean, even if they win both their games, they have to hope for one result at least to go their way. That being said, though, tosses at Sharjah, Carlos, we've been talking about how significant they've been or how advantageous they've been. Now, Mumbai have won this one. They're going to be bowling first. It's an evening fixture, unlike those afternoon games in Sharjah. Virat Kohli showed us last time that RCB can bat first and still win. But is this a significant toss in what's a must-win game for both teams? It's gone Mumbai Indians' way.
Yeah, it is. It feels as though you win the first round. For a ground that the toss means so much, you've won the toss, you've done what most teams would have done. They'd feel as though they have a leg up in the contest, but obviously the most important thing is the next 40 overs. So, whilst they'd be happy in the dressing room, they need to come out and bowl well, bat well, and eventually get over the line.
There's a very interesting bit of team selection news from both camps, right? I thought Rajasthan would not change now that they put in that impressive performance against Chennai Super Kings to keep their campaign alive. But I'm going to start with the Mumbai Indians team, and they've decided to bowl first. You can see that on the bottom of your screen. They've made a change to the balance of the team. Quinton de Kock has been left out. Let's assume it's a selection call and not forced due to injury. Ishan Kishan returns, Gotham, and they've accommodated another overseas player in Jimmy Neesham, who plays his first game of this second leg of the IPL. Out goes Krunal Pandya. That's a couple of big calls for a team that's so used to playing a same set of players. What do you make of those two selections?
Just to do with probably the sixth bowling option and probably not using a lot of left arm spin on at Sharjah, and Jimmy Neesham can actually chip in with 2 or 3 overs and probably can give them that firepower. I don't know whether he can actually do that on this kind of a surface. Kunal Pandya did reasonably well with the ball, and then probably Ishan Kishan still made sense for me because Quinton de Kock on this surface would have actually struggled. So probably Ishan Kishan can go out there, open the batting, can go free, play himself the way he wants to, just go aggressive in the first 6 overs. Jimmy Neesham, first game, that also a must-win game. Don't know honestly about him. How much can he deliver with the ball and with the bat? And just one more thing, Ronak. If I had to go, probably I would have definitely gone Chris Lynn because
Yeah.
a small ground, I would have definitely given Chris Lynn a go at the top of the order and probably played Kunal Pandya for Jimmy Neesham and Chris Lynn for Quinton de Kock.
Yeah, I mean, they don't use Pollard the bowler as much, but he always remains that sixth bowling option, Carlos. It seems like Mumbai also have decided now we've had enough of a number of players who are out of form, but it's a funny one. Quinton de Kock goes out and Ishan Kishan comes in, who's also been struggling for form. What do you make of these selections, especially from a team like Mumbai going into a big game?
Well, for Ishan Kishan is mentality. So you've been out of the game, the team for the last couple of games. You got the World Cup on the horizon. Will he still be in that World Cup team? We don't know with his current form and the form of other Indian players. But can you switch off from what happened before was potentially to come, stay in the moment, and go out there and play a natural game for Mumbai and do the things that you would have done over the past couple seasons to get into that international team? That's one big question that he will have to answer himself. And hopefully the result will let us know where his head is at. Sometimes you can be in the right mind space, prepare well, and get a good ball or a bad decision. That happens. But I'd love to see him today to come out, be free, play his natural game, play some shots, and entertain the crowd that's there and entertain us watching. The other thing is Pollard as a six bowler. I actually think between him and Nisham, he'll probably be the better bowler on this surface. So
Yeah.
is it a case where Nisham comes in for batting and batting only, and Polly can bowl 2 to 3 overs, maybe Nisham for 1 over to hit the deck, and you play that six bowler between two of them? Because I definitely back Pollard, more game time, more match rhythm, and his style of bowling more suited than a Jimmy Nisham on this surface.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what has triggered this double selection, Gautam. Is it more insurance in the middle order that Nisham can bat and he can give you a few rovers? Or is it Quinton de Kock, also for a big name overseas player, has been underwhelming? And you think that, all right, he's not going to win you a game now, or he's unlikely to impact the game with the form he's in, but the replacement doesn't lose a lot of confidence in Ishan Kishan, too.
See, for me, I think Jimmy Neesham is also a bits and pieces cricketer. To be honest, he can't give you 4 overs, and probably he'll be batting at number 7. And first game in the IPL, and on this kind of a surface. So we will have to wait and watch. If you really want to, probably the biggest problem where Mumbai Indians have lacked in the second leg is probably not going that hard in the first 6 overs. And that exactly was the reason I was thinking if they wanted to pick Ishan Kishan, they could have gone with Ishan Kishan and Rohit Sharma at the top of the order, and they could have actually used Chris Lynn at number 3 with Surya Kumar Yadav at number 4. And then they could have continued with Pollard, Hardik Pandya, and Krunal Pandya, because Chris Lynn is someone actually if he gets going against a bowling lineup like Rajasthan, he can win you a game with the bat. Jimmy Neesham, would you want his six probably as a sixth bowler? Will he be used as a batter because Kutanile bats as well? So there's enough batting, to be honest. So Chris Lynn probably would have been a preferred choice for me as compared to Jimmy Neesham, because you could win you a game single-handedly with the bat.
Well, they are going to be chasing. So if you want a deep batting lineup, it's also you're hoping that you win the toss. That's what's happened. Now that Rajasthan team, I thought it would stay the same. If you look at it now, they've made some changes of their own. Kuldeep Yadav, the young 24-year-old left arm seamer, gets a game, comes in place of Akash Singh, who played the last game. And there's another change, interestingly, that they've got Shreyas Gopal for Mayank Markande. So just the one outing for Markande. If you remember, he's been with so many different franchises, eventually and finally got a game against Chennai. Went for 26 of his 3 overs, didn't get a wicket, but that's a change that they have made. Now, Gautam, make sense of that.
It makes no sense to anyone. You give honestly, you give someone a go after 1.5 years, and just for that one game, and on a wicket like that where 190 was chased in 17 overs, and he did a reasonably decent job, Mayank Markande. And where is
Hmm.
Jaydev Unadkat? I think you got him from the auction. You've kept him for such a long time, and now you've picked an unknown rookie, especially in a must-win game. You should have gone with an experienced bowler with Jaydev Unadkat against Mumbai Indians, an experienced batting lineup who's got the cutters and everything and all the skills to bowl on this kind of a wicket. You've gone with someone who's not expressed. You've gone with someone he can deliver. I'm not saying that he cannot deliver. He can still deliver. But from a cricketing point of view, it makes no sense that you've got an experienced bowler sitting in the dugout as compared to someone who hasn't played any cricket, and you've picked him in a must-win game. And Shreyas Gopal hasn't played any cricket either in this leg of the IPL. So if you've played Mayank Markande, better continue with him because you won the game and you want to continue. You want to have that continuity. So for me, cricketing point of view makes no sense, and I'm sure most of the guys will think that does it make any sense. For me, it doesn't.
What does it do then, Carlos? We get a kid in, you get him one game, you send him out. You won the last game. Wouldn't logic have said, let's go with the same 11? Of course, we don't know if there are injuries because the franchises don't tell us anything. But we've got to assume that it's just a selection call. And another one that confuses you, I guess, like it does Gotham.
So if it is injury, obviously you can't prevent it. But if it's purely a selection call or tactical, as people would say, um, it doesn't send a good message in the dressing room. Being a player and having been in dressing rooms, if you can be in 1 minute, play one game and then out, the guy that comes in to replace you for his first game, you've also put him under tremendous pressure because he knows One bad over, one bad game, and I can be out as well. And you never perform to your optimal potential. People, fans, and people look on and people say, "Oh no, it's an opportunity," and you have to you have to take that one opportunity that you get. But you're still human beings. Everyone wants to feel loved. Yes, sometimes you have to go against the grain and perform in the face of adversity, and more often than not, there is adversity that you have to overcome. But when you go onto the park to play against 11 other professionals who are working as hard or sometimes harder than you are, who are facing similar adversity, you want that love from your team management, the dressing room, in the team. And if you feel as though if I make one misstep, I'll be out of the team, all of a sudden you start to play safe, whether that's with bat in hand, whether that's with ball in hand. Something as simple as running forward and trying to dive and take a catch, one of them ones that could potentially bounce just in front and go over for four. More often than not, the teams that we see do those type of things are the teams that are sure in themselves, the confident, the feeling that I love from the dressing room, and everybody's happy to be at work, happy to take the opportunities, and they just feel calm and as though they're being backed and
Hmm.
confident. As soon as you get a chance where you're chopping and changing, there's no consistency, no continuity. Everyone starts to pull for themselves, and I'm not exactly saying that's what happened in this Rajasthan team, but that's what happens. You start to think, crap, how can I play the next game and the next game? And you've taken the
Hmm.
focus off how can I win this current game that I'm in. So it's a dangerous precedent as a franchise to just chop and change, and sometimes overthink it. All of a sudden, you've gone with three left arm seamers. Um, and you think when you talk about left arm pace, you start to think, oh, there's something different there. But actually, a nice right arm seamer would actually be made some sort of difference because all three of the seamers seem to be very, very similar. Not only because they're left-handed, but similar pace and similar skill set. So, as a franchise, you don't want to be overthinking it too much. You just need to be consistent and give your players some confidence and some backing. And I know Mayank Makande will not be best pleased, unless he's injured, of course, that he's waited so long for a chance, gotten one opportunity, and now he's back on the sidelines, especially as a
Yeah,
wrist spinner.
yeah.
And
Trying.
Ronak,
Yes, Gautam.
just one more thing. Probably they must have picked Kuldeep thinking that the opposition might not just know him, he's an unknown a commodity. But they need to realize in today's day and age with so much of data and so much of video analysis, no one is an unknown commodity.
Hmm.
So that is something which surprises me big time that you pick a young rookie in such a big game.
How do you assess Rajasthan Royals, though? They're a confusing franchise to me, Gautam, in terms of how they pick some of their players. One would say, oh, they've done so well. They back Riyan Parag for such a long time, and you always say back players. But then it came to a point where we're wondering why can't they go for the better options that, or at least options that, different options on the bench. And Shivam Dubey played a match-winning innings last game. Now they made a couple of changes last game, and they don't give players enough time. Do you look at them as a franchise that have good man management? Is there a lot to, do they leave a lot wanting, especially when it comes to managing their Indian talent?
See, the results are in front of you. I don't have to say
Hmm.
anything about them. They won in
Yeah.
the first year of the IPL, and they've done hardly anything since then. And there needs to be someone accountable for it because you can't just have the same people sitting on in the dugout and probably getting the same results as well. There's a great saying: if you keep doing the same thing, you'll keep getting the same results as well. Just by changing
Hmm.
a coach doesn't changes everything. You got to change the mentality as well. You can't just keep chopping and changing. You're dealing with human beings. You're not dealing with robots that you can actually get whatever you want out of the robots. So there's a feeling, there are emotions there as well. And just as Carlos just mentioned, that imagine what would be happening with Mayank Markande, or
Hmm.
imagine, for example, what would be happening with someone else uh, who got left in this game. Or for example, who was Kuldeep?
Yeah.
Kuldeep came in place.
Akash
Akash,
Singh
yeah,
played
sorry.
the one game,
Yeah,
none for
Akash.
39.
Akash,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Akash came in and then played just one game and then was left. So imagine what you're doing to these young players. If you've done really well, you've played on placid wicket, you've got a win, you've got a very convincing win. Just stuck with them, just stick with them, and probably you'll get better results out of them as well. And that just shows in the performance of the franchise as well, because they've not changed so many things over the past so many years. That's why they haven't got the desired results.
You think if you're losing games like Mumbai Indians have, you're finding some inconsistent run, then okay, Punjab lose games, they change players, fine. You can understand that, Carlos, to a degree. But a win in the last game, wouldn't you have been tempted to say, let's just go with this? We the same group of players have given us an impressive win, an unlikely win against a team like CSK. The same group can carry that momentum. Does just a couple of changes, even if they're uncapped Indian players, affect that in any way? That sort of mood in the camp?
Yeah, I mean, there's an old adage, you don't change a winning formula. And if you've actually found a way to win, you're sixth or seventh on the table, you've now found a way to go into your next game with an actual chance, however slim it may be. Um, why go and tinker again? If tinkering is the reason that you are in the position that you are now, why not just say, go and have a go? I'm backing you as a player. And it may sound soft, it may sound needy, but as a player, there's no more reassuring thing to hear from your coach, your management, than we're backing you. You sit down, you have a conversation. We know what you can do. We know you're good enough, and then you go and prove it. So Rian Parag would leave there saying, I think that this team really backs me. But how many other guys in the franchise can say that? How many guys would have gotten one game and then be out again? So we don't know what the think tank or what is the thinking behind the changes. Um, and that's why I would like to hear some sort of explanation, but we're not privy to that. And to be honest, they don't owe me anything, so I'm happy with that. But it's always nice to hear reasoning for decisions, because sometimes people can overthink situations and combinations and that sort of stuff. And sometimes, although it may look like it makes no sense from the outside, you can actually look at the reason and think, okay, fair enough, not a bad reason. It either worked or it didn't work, but not a bad reason. And it's like mathematics. I mention it all the time. You can have a good formula or the right formula and get the wrong answer. So I would like to, I guess, get a better understanding of why certain decisions were made and that sort of thing. But what I would say to finish that point is you look at the most successful franchises in world cricket, and the most successful franchises, two of them are in the IPL, CSK and Mumbai, and they don't make a lot of changes. You realize CSK would have had a real poor year last year, and you look
Yeah.
at the amount of changes, if any, that they would have made coming into this season, and look at the turnaround that they have had. So you need to back your players. You need to not only say it, but you need to show it in selection as well.
All right. Well, let's see if Rajasthan Royals can still win in spite of these changes, but it does beg a lot of questions of the franchise. Let's talk a bit about the Mumbai Indians, shall we? Their batting has been a major concern. I'm delighted Gautam has joined us now for the business end of this season. So let's see if he's tried to make sense of how so many of their batters have lost form. We look at the numbers for all their batters. Rohit Sharma has got a few, which he tends to. Even in bad season, Rohit Sharma will get you 300 plus runs, but that's just about it. Now, got the one side of it is, they've played in Chennai in the first leg and Sharjah here in the second, but those numbers are significantly underwhelming. Can you make sense of how 4 or 5 of their batters who were so good just a year back have all lost form together?
See, we keep talking about Rohit Sharma. He's just too much of quality, and he's got that quality. And these numbers does not match his ability, to be honest. Irrespective of where they play, whether it's in Chennai, Sharjah, because he should have a 500 or a 600 run season. He hasn't had that for a very long time. In fact, I'm sure he's never had it in IPL. I would have expected him to have a season like what Virat Kohli had once, because he has that kind of ability. Someone who can get what 3 or 4 T20 hundreds for India does not get that 6 or 700 run season for Mumbai Indians is a massive surprise for me. 341, according to Rohit Sharma's standards, is much lower than what everyone expects out of him as well. Surya Kumar Yadav was a massive surprise. I don't know why. What made him? Probably the only thing I can think of during the second leg is because he's coming from England. He was there part of the Test squad. Probably he just got into that Test mindset of probably playing the ball really late in English conditions, and suddenly you come into a T20 format where you have to go towards the ball, and probably he's just lost that art of probably hitting the ball. Sometimes that can happen, because especially when you're coming from England, or playing Test cricket or being part of the Test squad. Apart from that, Ishan Kishan hasn't played any cricket, was a massive surprise. Hardik Pandya again hasn't played a lot of cricket, coming out of an injury. That's for me, I think the biggest upset through this batting lineup is Hardik Pandya. He hasn't played any cricket. He's just one format player for me now. He only plays white ball cricket, and he hasn't delivered this year. and he's got into the what? He's got into the T20 World Cup side, and he hasn't bowled either. So that's a huge surprise because selectors probably will have to answer this whether he's going to actually bowl 4 overs in the World Cup, and if he decides to bowl 4 overs in the World Cup, does he have that bowling under him? Does he have the bowl? Does he have those overs under him? Because if he still decides to bowl during the World Cup, he needs to start bowling from now on, whether it's just 1 over or a 2 over per game, so that he can get that overs under his belt and can deliver during the World Cup, because that's going to be the main tournament where India is supposed to, or probably will be looking to win that tournament. But if he doesn't probably bowl during the World Cup, then it's very difficult for me to be actually putting him in the playing 11. Because if he doesn't bowl, he doesn't. I don't think so. He can be part of the best playing 11 which India can have.
That's interesting. That's a conversation I'd love to have in detail too with Gautam. He's with us now for the rest of the week, so I'm sure we'll get into it
You'll
multiple
keep
times.
asking. Yeah, you'll keep asking me tough questions.
Nah, yeah, I don't need to ask you tough questions. I just have to leave, I just have to say Gautam, and then it all flows. I don't do anything, Gautam. Come on. All right, Carlos. But on a serious note, I've got another thing here that even Kyron Pollard, by his high standards, has been better than the Indian players around him, but he's not been what he's been in previous years. Now, can it happen? You played in strong, formidable West Indies T20 sides. Suddenly, when two or three guys lose form together, can it almost get contagious? Barring that one win that they had against Punjab, which is their only win in this UAE leg. They've won only 1 out of 5. Even Pollard seems to have caught this plague of uncertainty or lack of form. What do you put that down to?
Just like winning is a habit, losing is a habit, and if you're in a dressing room that buzzing, and everybody full of confidence, and you having a low day or a down day, you walk into work and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, you feel it feeding off of the buzz of everyone else. If you walk into a dressing room and you have a bit of a buzz, um, and everyone is a bit crestfallen and a bit down, it can sap away at your energy. So I'm not saying that's a bad dressing room to be in, but Paulie would have been coming from CPL cricket behind him, and probably went into the dressing room and everyone is, struggling with the bat or whatever. All of a sudden you can start to inspect your own game a little bit too deeply and start to make changes, whether it be mentally, whether it be technically, sometimes even your approach. And it doesn't look as though that middle order is being as positive, as it were, to get the team Mumbai Indians to where they've been over the
Hmm.
past couple of years, and that's what they've been doing very well, being positive and blowing teams out the water, especially in them last 5 overs. You always start to think which one of Krunal, Hardik, or Polly would come in at the 13 over mark, and knowing that you had the other two in the back end, you're almost guaranteed 55, 60 runs, in the last 5 each and every time. And it just seems as though the inning starts okay and then it slowly falls away in the middle and they can never catch the momentum back in the back end. And yeah, for some reason, Polly's form has dropped off just a bit as well. And one bad apple is easier to spoil, the good bunch, than the good bunch of bad apples turning their form around for one bad apple. So it could be a case that in the dressing room or in the team, the confidence is just a bit low. And I don't know if he would have changed anything. But he has, as you said, caught the bug a bit, and love to see him, especially in the cusp of the World Cup. He has an important job to lead the West Indies, which we know he'll do with gusto. But you want him to be at his best as well, performance-wise, to help us defend our trophy.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the other team in this, and that's Rajasthan Royals. Their batters walk out now. Yashasvi Jaiswal was outstanding last game. Evan Lewis and him have forged this nice partnership at the top of the order. Thank God Rajasthan haven't changed that, because you've got Lewis and Jaiswal at the top that have done particularly well. Partnerships of 77 twice now, and another 50 plus partnership against Punjab. They're among the leading opening stands and strike rates this season. Got them the first game in Sharjah, though. They've played all their UAE games in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. You see on arguably the better surfaces. Can they bat the same way here?
They will have to adapt quickly, and they will have to
Hmm.
actually decide what is a good total on this wicket. Probably 150 is a good total on this wicket as compared to what they might be thinking playing at Dubai or at Abu or in Abu Dhabi. So they must have seen the past scores as well during the second leg. If they can actually get to 150, 155 rather than thinking of getting to 180, because once you look to get to thinking of getting to 180, you might just get bowled out for 120. Look to get 140, you'll get to 160, and that's probably will be a good total. But yes, they will have to go hard in the first 6 overs, which probably is the template playing at Sharjah. So they will probably approach the same way how they approached in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, I mean, there's an opportunity to go hard in the first six as well. Because while we keep talking about Mumbai's batting, Carlos, they've also not got the early wickets that Trent Bolt gave them last year in the UAE. Look at Bolt's numbers this season too, and you know that there's another dip in form. It's not just the batting that's off. This is something else that's not gone right for Trent Bolt. 4 out of 5 games, he's failed to pick up wickets in the power play. What do you put that down to?
Probably ball just swinging a little less. And I don't know. It could be in the team. For some reason, everyone has just dropped off. It could be lack of preparation by each of the players. You had Wright missing a game earlier after coming back from the Test series. Question will be asked: how many players would have actually been playing cricket and T20 cricket before they came to the IPL second leg? And I could probably think of two off the bat: Quinton de Kock and Kyron Pollard, and I'm not sure how many other players would have had a load of games behind them. Boomer would have been good for the Test cricket that he would have been playing, but it's probably just a team that's a bit short of work, being thrown at the end of the second phase without too much form behind them. That's probably really and truly the only thing I could put it down to. An excellent bunch of cricketers, a lot of good team men in there that I would have played with or seen operate. So it's not one thing that I could say it's this reason or that reason. I think one of the things could potentially just being a bit short of work from a bowling and batting perspective as a team.
Okay, innings is already underway. Let's wrap it here. We've seen Evan Lewis leave the first ball of Trent Bolt, so clearly he's trying to do things differently at Sharjah. Gautam Gambhir and Carlos Brathwaite, thank you very much. Let's pick up the chat
Pleasure, man.
in 20 overs time in what is a massive game for the Royals as well as the Mumbai Indians. Join us then on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Time out to see how many the Royals have got.
We call it people technology.